Namaste and a very warm welcome to all the viewers. We have with us a wonderful guest, a renowned Bharatanatyam exponent, Acharya Chudamani, Srimati Roja Kannan. This interview is hosted by the Himalayan School of Traditional Dance. Himalayan School of Traditional Dance is a global initiative founded by Brahmarishi Mohanji, a world-renowned spiritual leader, to spread the core values, tradition, and culture of Bharat through dance across the world. Our distinguished guest for today, Srimati Roja Kannan, is an eminent Bharatanatyam teacher, choreographer, and performer. She hails from a musical lineage of veteran Palakkad Rama Bhagavatar. She has been recognized with several awards, including Acharya Chudamani, Kalaimamani, Kala Acharya Shironmani, Natya Ilavarasi, Kala Seva Bharati, Women of Excellence Award, Karthik Award of Excellence, Best Senior Dancer Award from the Music Academy and Nardagana Sabha. Her contributions in Bharatanatyam is world-renowned, and now she is also the president of ABHAI, the Association of Bharatanatyam Artists of India. Hearty welcome, Rojaka.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Namaste, Akka. We also have with us Mohanji Acharya, Srimati Satya Shivakumar, global member of Himalayan School of Traditional Dance, who will be conducting the interview along with me.
Namaste, Akka.
Namaste. Namaste.
I would like to start this interview with Mohanji's quote. When you understand that you're authentic and original, express your highest with that originality, which would be compassion, kindness, love, where you're giving more to earth than you take from it. Today we have with us the eminent Bharatanatyam artist, Rojaka, with us. She'll be sharing her Bharatanatyam journey. A painting on the wall, Lord Sri Krishna and Gopikas inspire the little child who was to later blossom as a beautiful dancer. Can you share your thoughts on that? The power of impressions and visuals.
Absolutely. This is what I've heard from my grandmother. In fact, I was with my maternal grandmother for a couple of years when my parents shifted to Madras, now Chennai. And I grew up with her for some time. For at least a couple of years, I was there. And I believe that there was this painting of Radha and Krishna and the Gopikas dancing, the Ras Leela, and the movie song sung by P. Sushila, Gangai Kare Totam, Kanni Pengal Kootam. When that used to play on the radio, I used to go and stand in front of that painting and I believe do some movements, moving with the rhythm. So that was, I think, the starting point when my grandmother, used to very proudly relate that incident to my mother. Other than that, my mother was always very, very, very interested in Bharatanatyam and was watching a lot of this classical dance on the movies, yesteryear movies. And so she had an innate passion to learn the art form, an opportunity that she didn't get when she was growing up in a remote town in North Malabar, Kerala. So I think when her daughters were born, I think she automatically decided. And I think those days, every girl from a traditional South Indian Brahmin household had to learn either Carnatic vocal music instrument or dance or Bharatanatyam, one of the two, one of the three. So I think that was one more reason why my sister Meena and myself were initiated into the art form at a very, very young age. Like I was 5 and my sister was 3 when we started off. And it's purely because of my mother's passion and absolute commitment that she does when she, and she's very strong-willed woman, so when she decides that she wants to do something, she will get it done, come what may. So that is the story behind painting and my initiation into dance.
Beautiful, Akka. I'm able to chime with your impressions and thoughts really well. Usually, when a child's health suffers, the parents get disheartened and do not pressurize the child. But in your life, however, the health wasn't a setback, but a hidden drive for you to pursue the art.
Yeah.
Can you please share your journey with us?
Yes, absolutely. It was a very unusual situation that my parents were faced with at that point of time when I was, say, three years old, I think. Then suddenly, after a bout of measles, I got an attack of measles, and post measles, they called it post measles encephalitis. So, very high fever and sudden loss of sensation in the lower limbs. So I was already walking, and then suddenly I reached a point where I couldn't walk even a couple of steps without falling down. So my lower limbs were completely had completely lost their strength, and so that was a very devastating uh, moment for both my parents, and I had to be carried all the time. Somebody who was already walking had to be carried, and I used to be crying all the time because I was in pain or something like that. I hardly remember the background, but this is from what I've heard from my mom. And we had a pediatrician called Dr. Balgopal Raju at that time in T Nagar. And so when my parents took me to him, he said this has to just come back with time. There is no medicine to treat this. She has to just strengthen her lower limbs slowly, and like physiotherapy, she has to undergo some very rigorous physical exercise, which will bring back the strength to the limbs. And so that was I think I would say, the turning point that my mother cashed in on, So this innate urge in her to learn Bharatanatyam or classical dance. So she just immediately transferred it to her children, her daughters. So she thought, in fact, he was the one who suggested that let her go, put her in some dance, that will give her a good grounding and a good exercise for her lower limbs. So that was the moment she was waiting for, I think. So immediately we went to Sarasa teacher, who was very close to our household. And Sarasa teacher, of course, said they were too young to start, come after 2 years or 3 years. But then she wouldn't give up. And so we walked down the road and went to Dr. Vaidehi Malapalli's Natyalaya. And that is where we started our initial training. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the story behind
Such a nice beginning, and it's truly inspirational.
Yeah, and it brought back the strength to my lower limbs. Although the family, traditional Brahmin household, the family were very keen that we would, and since my grandfather also was a very leading musician, the importance was given more to Carnatic music than to Bharatanatyam. And although the stigma was not there, it was still not a very free sort of a society at that point of time, where girls were let freely. Although by then Kumari Kamala and Padmini and all had already were ruling the roost in the movies, with Bharatanatyam. And but she was very strong, in spite of any sort of silent protest from the other side of the family. She decided that we would learn, and she'd go to any lengths to make us learn. So that was how we got into the art form. Playfully we got into it, playfully. Never even imagined that it will become a part of my whole life, that was the beauty of it. Yeah.
It is truly inspirational because it will give confidence to so many parents. Because
Yes,
especially when the child's health is, affected at that early stage, usually you're overcome with a lot of negative feelings. But this
yes,
is truly something which, where something has been transformed into a very positive experience. So
absolutely.
your
Yeah,
story will be a true inspiration and motivation for many, many children and parents also to derive that
absolutely,
strength.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And now, talking about the Bharatanatyam journey, can you tell us how you envision the group and the thematic productions? Can you also share more about Tirumurai series?
Yes. Actually, in Adaya Lakshman sir's institution, Bharata Chudamani, the importance was always only given to solo performances. So he was very popular guru to bring out the solo performers. So most of us have been trained to do the margam, different, very, very different repertoires, but it was only strictly adhering to the margam. But then in between, that is after my journey for about 20, till I was about 23, I was very regular to the dance class and practicing and performing and everything. Then came a natural break because of marriage and kids and other things. And then when I went back to the scene after about 13 years, the whole scene had changed. Scene in the sense the performing arena of Bharatanatyam, there were a lot of changes happening with regards to the margam. So when after practicing very rigorously with master, with sir for about 2-3 years, and when I decided to go and request for performance opportunities in the sabhas, the organizers came up with the question like, what is the theme of your performance? So we were sort of wondering, a normal repertoire or a margam, where is the question of bringing a theme into that? So when I went back to Lakshman sir, he said, don't refuse the performance because of this request by the secretaries. Let us also try to do within the boundaries of the margam something that we can manage and bring in a theme or something to that. So that was how this whole process of dancing to thematic margams started. My first experimentation was with Ramalinga Adigalar's Thiruvarutpa, actually. That was my first presentation with a theme. In the sense, the whole repertoire was completely new, completely original and choreographed with inputs from my guru. And music was specially commissioned for that. And all the items, right from the opening Alarippu, Pushpanjali till the Tillana, including a Varnam, Padavarnam, were all taken from Ramalinga Adigalar's Thiruvaruppa and specially set to music and performed. So that became a very big hit, and especially with the Tamil-speaking audience and the very staunch Saivite groups. So I was invited to perform that again and again and again in all these religious conventions and other gatherings like that. So that sort of gave me a fresh lease of confidence, okay, this is also acceptable and this is also most welcome. And people started coming because it was very, very relatable to them, one thing. The language was very simple, they could relate to it. And it was all absolutely new. They'd never seen something like this before. So that was my starting point. And post Thiruvarutpa, I was asked to be part of Nati Rangam's festival. Every year, Nartagana Sabha, Nati Rangam have a very special thematic festival. So that particular year, I was asked to do Krishna Leela Tarangini, again. So Krishna Leela Tarangini, the huge work of Narayana Tirtha had to be compressed to a 1.5 hour performance. And And I stuck to the Margam format there also. So picked up songs, suitable songs to fit into a Margam format, and that was another learning experience. So the beauty of all this is with each of these thematic presentations, you get to learn so many new, otherwise maybe I would have known one or two songs from Tiruvaruppa, but to get it into the whole book together and then delving into that and getting the meaning, going and talking to experts, getting the inner meaning of those things, and then learning it by heart, it was like going for an exam. Each of these thematic performances is like writing a huge board exam or something. You have to sit and learn everything right from the scratch, lyrics, the choreography, everything. So Krishna Lila Tarangini happened like that. So that way, then I was asked, another year I was asked to do Tiruchendur about Kshetrams. It was about Kshetrams, and I was given the Kshetram of Tiruchendur. So I had to do research on a whole lot of lyrics related to Tiruchendur, pick up the right ones, and make a format of it into a Margam. And most of the time I stuck to the Margam format because I felt, it was very all encompassing and all inclusive. Starting from a slow flowering from the Alaripu or a Pushpanjali, and then it slowly builds up the tempo when the Shabdam comes, and then the Varnam comes, and the climax is there, and then the lighter part of Kirtanams or Javalis and Padams, and then a crescendo with the Tilana. That was a very comfortable format in which we could fit these themes. So Krishna Lila Tarangini happened, and then when I went to Doordarshan for a recording, they wanted to do something on national integration and women's empowerment and all. So naturally, I fell back on Bharatiyar, where the lyrics were, so to the point and fitted the topic very well. So I had to rework on Bharatiyar's compositions and do. So this was my very beautiful experiences working on several themes. And Panniru Tirumurai was actually commissioned by a group in Norway, in Oslo. There are a very staunch Tamil, Sri Lankan Tamil community there. And one of them, who happens to be my friend, wanted me to bring in some new thematic Tamil works every alternate year. So I had to sit and work on a particular theme every alternate year, and go and record the music and present it there. And that is how I had to work on Tanjavur Quartet compositions, Papanasam Shivan compositions. And 1 year it was Panniru Tirumurai. So that was the most challenging work that I had ever taken up, because there is so much material available, and to pick up the right ones and pick up ones that can be adapted well to Bharatanatyam, the format that we are practicing, to adapt that to Bharatanatyam and to find new hastas to denote certain words. All this was a big challenge. And so from each of those 12 Tirumurais, I picked up a suitable song and tried to format it into the format and recorded the music. And since there was no time constraint, that was another big advantage for me when I went to present all these programs abroad. They are ready to sit and watch for 2 hours, 3 hours. In fact, they'll never go. They'll ask, they are so interested in watching. So this went on for about 2.5 hours, Panniru Tirumurai, because I had to present from every Tirumurai. That was another learning experience. The other main thematic one that I did was on Tiruvarur. Tyaga Rahasyam was another production that I just, it suddenly dawned on me that I want to do something about Tiruvarur, because I went to see a performance in the conference in Music Academy, where there was a group from Kalakshetra who were performing Rupamajuchi. Rupamajuchi is the first Varnam all of us have learned. Anybody who goes from the Kalakshetra school will learn Rupamajuchi as the first Varnam. But we have learned it at a stage when we were so young that we have not realized the importance and the weight of that composition. Velayata, we have just learned it, just done the hands and not even realized what Rupam it is talking about. That was the biggest mystery that was foxing me. And luckily I found a scholar named Jayachandran who was doing his research on Tiruvarur. He was very keen on bringing out something like this. So we collaborated with each other. It took us 2 years to bring it to a form, to even get it done. And with a couple of visits to Tiruvarur and looking at the, Utsava Murti and sitting and watching the Sayaraksha Puja, all those experiences were put together in that production. And that was very, very well received too, because many of them from Tiruvarur itself. And I was blessed with opportunities, I would say. Initially, I used to go and ask for opportunities, apply and call the secretary, ask them, did you get my application? Can you give me an opportunity? That used to be there initially. But then with all these productions, one after the other, I was blessed to have them asking me to come and perform. That is the power of the medium that we are practicing. And when I got several opportunities to do this in Tiruvarur itself for Shivaratri Natyanjali celebrations, which is the biggest and greatest blessing that I have had so far, to perform. And people of Tiruvarur, born in Tiruvarur, from Tiruvarur, they used to come and talk to me after the performance and say, in fact, we never knew that this place is so, so important and so much of history to it, that after you danced and show it to us, now we understand how blessed we are to be born in Tiruvarur. That sort of a feeling it created every time it was performed. And so these are the experiences I had. So most of it was commissioned, but a couple of them I did it because I want to do it. So one of them is Tiruvarur. I called it, titled is Tyaga Rahasyam. Tyaga Rahasyam, the secret behind Tyagarajaswami of Tiruvarur. So that was the title. The other most challenging thing I had to do was Upanishad Bharatam. That was also commissioned by Nati Rangam. So we had to take all the Upanishads and bring it under a theme and present it. And again in 1.5 hours. That was another challenge. I worked on it for almost a year to get shape to it. And it was very tough because everything is in pure Sanskritam, and to translate that into dance, to fit that into a song, meter, everything was a challenge for that. So Brahmopanishad Param was the title of my Upanishad Bharatam performance. And of course, it was very well received. And for every song from the Upanishad, I took a Kirtanam from either Papanasam Shivan or Tyagarajaswami or Ramana Maharishi, and showed the similarity between that. What the Upanishads are trying to teach us and what these Vagyakaras have put it out in simple language. So the minute those songs were presented along with the Upanishad, the whole concept became very, very clear to the audience. So that was another winning point for me in that Upanishad Bharatam performance is concerned, because to understand Shai's Sanskrit is very difficult. And although I translated it into hastas and mudras and stories and all that. So along with the songs that were more contemporary, it became a very enjoyable experience for the audience. So that was another landmark solo thematic production that I had done. Totally blessed, I would say, to have been able to do all this. Absolutely blessed. Yes.
Really blessed. Your story is so incredible, especially about Thiruvarur Tyagaraja. They say it's a mukti sthal, right?
Absolutely.
If you're born in Thiruvarur,
Amma.
you attain moksha. And
Amma.
Thiruvarur Tyagaraja, he is so benevolent and just gorgeous murti to see the
Yes.
Utsav Murti. And
Yes.
we have all listened to the stories of the Soma Skandamurti at Thiruvarur Tyagaraja temple and Kamalamba temple also, where we have a number of musical compositions dedicated to Mother
Yes.
Goddess.
Yes.
Indeed.
All the three, the Trinity were born in Thiruvarur, no? அதுக்கு மேல என்ன வேணும்?
Yeah.
All the three were born. What, this is the, beauty of our country,
Yeah.
our tradition, our culture, so much there is for us to fall
And
back on.
what we see at the end is just the production, but what goes behind the scenes, there's so much of work. And I would say, it is a spiritual journey indeed. We are
Yes.
working on the text, we are learning the language, we are trying to perceive the meaning, the content. And from what you said, we come to know what amount of work has gone behind
Yes.
to come up with such a production.
Yes, yes.
And and such a beautiful message delivered to the world.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very interesting, Akka. Very interesting and inspiring to know how much of your effort and thought process has gone into these productions.
Thank you.
Akka, your mother has been an inspiration to you in many ways.
Yes, yes.
Serving the abandoned, the needy people should be a priority for everyone, says Mohanji. Please share how these acts of kindness spreads light in lives of people around.
Absolutely. See, my mother, very early, that is when we were about 10 or 11, itself, was part of a bhajan group. And those ladies used to go and learn bhajans, after they sent their children to school and all that. So she was part of that group. And then from that group, she got into contact with many, many friends. One of them was Mrs. Savitri Vaiti, who started the Monday Charity Club. She was a visionary. I'm talking about almost maybe 5 decades back, 50 years back itself. She was a visionary at that time. So this Monday Charity Club started, wherein they used to do small charities every month. Every month they collected some membership fees from these ladies, 50 rupees or 100 rupees, not or even less. And then with that money, Savitri auntie used to make a donation to needy school children who needed a book to buy books or to pay the fees, or some woman who doesn't have a source of income, destitute women. So such was the feeling of giving was inculcated very, very young in our minds. And they had these annual day celebrations, Monday club day and things like that. And we used to be part of all those celebrations in the club, in Monday club. And another initiative from the Monday club was the Vishranti Charitable Trust. Vishranti is a place where destitute women are housed free by this institution. So Mrs. Savitri Vaiti was the visionary who did both, started Monday Charity Club and also Vishranti. Vishranti is now a big home now. It has its own space and more than 150 to 200 women who are housed there, and all surviving only with donations and help from HelpAge India and institutions like that. So my mother and my father were both very active in these two organizations right from the beginning. My father was a practicing chartered accountant, and he was the auditor for both Vishranti and Monday Club, and he never took 1 paisa as fees from both of them. No, so there it was already sown. The seeds were already sown in our minds that charity begins at home. So this is one way that we were also inculcated these very very important aspects that as a society we should giving to others has to be inculcated in our children. So we even inculcated these values very very young in life. So I think that is something that struck on to me right from the beginning. And when I joined Abhay, Association of Bharatanatyam Artists, because of my guru in '98, when I went back to pursuing my performances, my practice in dance with Lakshman sir, he was serving as the president of Abhay. So he said, "Why are you still not a member in Abhay? Come on, join." So that is when I joined Abhay. And the reason for which Abhay was initially formed, in 1987 by the Doyen Sri Pakirisamy Pillai, who comes from the Isai Velalar Parampara, So he had a vision in '87 to bring all the dance acharyas and gurus together to be of help to each other. What a noble thought he had at that time, that we have to be united and we have to serve each other to make our community strong and things. So that all those noble thoughts, that these great men had, naturally it has filtered down to us, who were all part of Abhay right from the beginning. So from that initial days, Abhay has grown in strength and has grown with the changing times and the mission of Abhay to serve the artistic fraternity, to be a ray of hope for artists who are so anxious, especially this pandemic times, very very challenging times for the artistic community, very challenging. And how are we going to get over this? How are we going to survive this? Because life doesn't stop. Life has to move on, whether it's a pandemic or a tsunami or a cyclone. We have to keep moving on. So when there is somebody who can reassure you that don't worry, we are there, we will take care of you, this too shall pass, that makes so much of difference in their lives. So that value that I got inculcated in when I was really young is what drew me to Abhay, and is keeping me going still in Abhay. Give back to the community, give back to the fraternity, because you've gained so much from it. In fact, your own existence is because of the art that you practice. And when your gurus were so selfless in giving it to you, they didn't hold back anything. Either Mami or Lakshman sir, they didn't hold back anything. They just gave so generously to us. And that knowledge is what is keeping us going. So in what way are we going to repay the artistic fraternity? So that is the thought behind me, and that is how I am carrying on my mission in Abhay with a wonderful set of committee members assisting me and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. You have summed it up beautifully, Akka, because I was going to ask you that. The times are tough. On one hand, there's so much talent waiting to be unleashed, and on the other side, we're experiencing a lot of chaos.
Yes.
Art works on subtle planes to raise the consciousness beyond the physical. When delivered with intensity and devotion, it can even have therapeutic effects. Can you share your ideas on how to raise the awareness of people through dance?
See, I would say that, if like Bharatiyar has said in his Pudumai Pen, Kalaindri Umildu Talluvar Kalaindri Valvorai, without art, you're not a human at all. Art makes a better man. The humanity is made better only because of arts, culture, tradition, and all these things. So they bring in a sort of calmness and inner peace in you whenever you are practicing such things. So it in fact annihilates all the negativity around you, I feel. you somehow get trained to look at things more positively with your art, and you don't get bogged down by anxieties. You don't get bogged down by in troubles that come and face you. You feel that, yeah, you can face it and you can win over it. I feel that art gives that confidence in you. You know, let any sort of art. It can be a painter or a sculpture or a musician. You can. We have seen evidences of it during the pandemic. This 8-9 months, you would see that the social media is flooded with performances, small, big, by professionals, by immature dancers, by mature dancers, by instrumentalists, by vocalists. Everybody is having a camera in front of them and either singing or dancing. Why do they do that? If you sit and think about it, this is something that is they are letting out. They're letting out their anxieties, their uncertainties about the future. Everything is let out when they sit and sing or they dance. So there's nothing to equal this or compensate this in life, I would say. So that is the power of art. And automatically, when you're in any art form, you don't have any negative thoughts. They dare not come near you. It builds a sort of a wall around you. You're shielded from all those. It's a prayer. It's like a prayer. It's your everyday prayer. So I think without this, humanity will not be human at all. I would say. So this is most important, that every parent should realize and understand, and give a taste of it to the children right from the very young age. Very, very important. Let it be even sloka chanting. Let it be even sloka chanting or something. There has to be a connect with our roots or tradition, our culture. That is my take on this.
Yeah, that you have, like you said, they have to be initiated early, because
Yeah.
that is the power of impressions. What are we giving our children, the next generation? As you said, it's time to give back, because our whole existence, we have taken so much from Mother Earth and from our teachers, from parents. So it's a time to give back, and also nurture the younger generation. So they have to be initiated to this beautiful art form, whatever it be. It can be a little start, but they have to begin that beautiful journey. They can blossom later into a wonderful artist.
Yes.
The art itself will take them on that road, but at least that exposure has to be made.
Absolutely. Caring about the environment, Satya, then how important that is, no? Caring about the environment, the way you segregate the waste and put it, the saying no to plastics, all this has to come right from the very young age. That has to be inculcated in the young minds. It is for a better future, for them. We've had the advantage of having such good environment and atmosphere when we were growing up, but look at our children now, they have to deal with so much of pollution and so much of things happening, natural calamities, that it's not their doing. It's because the previous generation did not properly take care. They are facing the result of all that. So that has to be inculcated right from the start, right from a very young age. Cleanliness, throwing the garbage in the trash bag, all that has to be inculcated, I feel. Yeah.
Absolutely, Akka. Totally agree with you. And we can't thank you enough for your readiness to participate in this interview today. We're very happy about it. And as a token of love and gratitude to all the great work that you're doing in the world, in the field of dance, HSTD would like to honor you with a certificate of honor. I'll just share
Oh.
my screen.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure talking to both of you. Absolute pleasure.
I'll just share my screen and read out the certificate.
Okay.
Himalayan School of Traditional Dance, the certificate of honor presented to Srimati Roja Kannan in recognition of her many stellar achievements and contributions both as a performer and teacher, creating generations of dancers of repute in the traditional dance form of India, Bharatanatyam.
Thank you so much. This is a real blessing for me, real blessing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Akka. We are very, very,
Thank
very,
you.
very happy to have you with us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and keep up the good work. Keep up the good work. I'm really, really proud of both of you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Keep up the good
Thank you,
work.
Akka. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.
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 Veerana